Porifera has a cellular grade of organization, which means they have no structures that are considered organs. Their skin cells are pernoccytes. The choanocytes have the interior of the bed walls. The archaeocytes are two-component, which means that they can change into a sponge cell type. They are also ingest and digest food. Sclerocytes control the section of spinules. Mycocytes and porocytes are the muscle-like contracting cells of the sponge. Cnidaria have two body forms, a poly and a medusa. They have no cephalization, which is a concentration of sensory organs in the head. The cells are organized into distinct tissues, but they have no organs. Medusae are usually bell-shaped, with their tentacles hanging downward. On the other hand, the mouth and tentacles of a poly face upward. To Porifera, food is brought in by cytosites, and the food is then brought to individual cells by a process called phagocytosis. The digestion of food occurs in the individual cell. Many species of sponge can release a toxic substance into the water. Other organisms can live inside of sponges, and some have a symbiotic relationship with the sponge. Also, sponges excavate the surface of mollusks and coral. Porifera uses diffusion to obtain oxygen to get rid of excess water. Non-digestible Cnidaria have stinging tentacles and use nematocytes to sting and to trap prey. Many Cnidaria depend on zooxanthellae, which are symbiotic dinoflagellation. With the tissue of Cnidaria, they carry out photosynthesis and give carbon compounds to the host. Coral reefs form coral dependent on Cnidaria living in the deep waters. Cnidaria use tentacles in a ring around their mouth to push food in a gastrovascular cavity. Enzymes secrete into the cavity and break down food in a nutrient-rich broth. They breathe through their skin over their whole body using diffusion. Solid waste is either dislodged or undissolved form faster in an open badly. If a sponge is created by sexual means, the larva may be released from the water column into the water, where it will float for a few days. After this time, the larva will stick to a surface and grow into a mature sponge. If the larva is not released, it will grow to a juvenile sponge inside of the water column. If a sponge is created by asexual means, a piece of the parent sponge breaks off and grows into a new sponge. Also by asexual means, buds can form into adult sponges. Cnidaria reproduce by asexual means. The polyform grows and after a while absorbs into the tentacles. After this happens, the poly splits horizontally into a series of discs that become juvenile medusae. Through a process called strobulation, the juvenile medusae swim off and the poly regenerates and repeats the process. Porifera can reproduce by sexual means or asexual means. By sexual means, sperm is released into the water column and then released into water like smoke. Female sponges of the same species capture the sperm. Some of the larvae are released and some grow inside the water column by asexual means. The sponges produce buds or gemmullae, which are packaged of several cells of various types inside protective coverings. Cnidaria can reproduce by sexual means or asexual means. By sexual means, sperm and egg are produced and join externally. Once they find a surface to attach to, they attach and grow in polys. Cnidaria can reproduce asexually by budding or brooding, which happens when male polys release sperm into the water, which females catch. The larvae is then produced inside the female. After this, the female spits out the larvae, which cells and grows. Porifera have dense structures. They also have pores that water and oxygen flow through. Uses the defense mechanism. Most sponges are able to emit toxic substances. Sponges also have splicum, which are sharp and needle-like, and make the digestion of sponges hard for predators. Porifera live in water in either fresh or salt. They can live in depths from the interdill zone all the way to more than 8,500 meters below the sea level. They survive better in warm, gilt waters since their pores don't get slugged as easily. Cnidaria have a special skeleton called a hydroskeleton. That means that they are muscles surrounding a water-filled body cavity, and the muscles are supported by that cavity. They also use nematocysts to stun, paralyze, and sometimes kill their prey. Cnidaria can live in fresh or salt water at any depth.